everybody.
Man, we back. Amir, tell them what we got today.
2025. We're doing a lot just to keep in synchrony with the year, right? With the goals and objectives. We're powering through it today. Not just one, not just two. I think we got like 4. We got law 9, law 10, law 11, and law 12. So we have law number 9. Win through your actions and never argument. Law number 10, infection, avoid the unhappy or the unlucky. Law number 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. And law number 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm, not arm, your victim.
Dang, whole lot of toxicity in these.
Whole lot of, man. I mean, you could take your pick, to be honest, but law 9, you win through your actions and not argument. I think that's more lead by example and not through your words. You know what I mean? I feel like that one kind of hits home for me, just in terms of being a leader, a teammate, in terms of brotherhood, different aspects of my life that I hold dear. I think that's the one that hits home, to be honest, and just in the sense of like, you don't ever want a leader that dictates or that yells and this and that, and you want somebody that's in the trenches with you. That you want somebody that, hey, like, if you bleed, I bleed. If I bleed, you bleed. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And you inspire more loyalty with that one. I think that's the one that hits home for me, man.
Yeah, 9 and 10. Focusing on 9 and 10. 9 is definitely a positive. 11 and 12, those are the questionable toxic ones. But law number 9, I like law number 9. I like when people I think back to like different teams that I've been on. Where you have different captains on the team and they behave in different ways. Everybody has different roles. I've always been drawn to, and I guess that's why that's the type of player that I've been, where I'm just going to lead through my actions. You know what I'm saying? Just watch me. Don't necessarily. And then when it comes to like arguing certain stuff, you could argue all day on stuff, but let me just show you. And even in the example that they gave, you start arguing with stuff, and now people just arguing to be right rather than even listening to the reason and rationale behind what you're saying. So I think in the example they gave in the book, what was it? The sculptor, was it Michelangelo? I think it was Michelangelo. I don't know. Yeah. So he, somebody came in, whoever hired him to do the job, and they're like, the nose is a little off. So he like kind of faked it. He's like, yo, I could tell by where that person's looking at their perspective, they just may not be seeing it correctly. They asked the guy to come up, and then he kind of acted as if he chiseled a little bit more off. And then the guy was like, yo, this is amazing. See, you know what I mean? And Michelangelo's just sitting there. He put the ego to the side, and he's just like, look, I'm looking for the result. And it's better because he got the buy-in from the other individual, rather than that individual kind of fighting back and forth. And then you end up not even knowing what you're going back and forth about.
Yeah. And it saves a lot of time with the argument piece as well, right? I feel like argument, it's crazy because now I'm seeing the flow between the laws now. I didn't see this before, but the flow, right? Law number 10, infection, avoid the unhappy or the unlucky. If you're always arguing and seeking to kind of be in dispute with others, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to be unlucky, quote unquote. And I feel like just jumping into law number 10 too.
Yeah.
Being unhappy is infectious. People love being infectious when they're unhappy and unlucky. Oh man.
Bro, it's bad. It's really bad. Like I just had a conversation with my boy, and I'm like, bro, I called to talk about this, and now how did we get on your trauma? And I get it. Like I'm talking to my bro, and I'm like, bro, I appreciate the fact that you can express this to me. But it's like, yo, let's glass half full this thing, because all that focusing on the negativity, like that's what your life is going to turn into. Like focus on the positive. There's always a positive aspect to something. So focus on that. Like it's to the point where I don't even, like, it's hard for me to want to be around somebody that's constantly complaining, like where everything, like, then it's like, it's probably you're probably the problem.
I feel like, if you're always talking about being unhappy, talking about being unlucky, people are gonna start assuming, after a while, like, hey, maybe you're the unlucky one, maybe you're the unhappy one, and you might want to take a look in internally versus, bringing more, what I forget what the saying is, but bringing others to misery, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's draining. Like
Yeah,
being around negative
yeah,
folks, it's like, yo, like everybody's dealing with something. So it's like the
oh yeah,
last thing that I wanted you to do is remind me of the things that I'm dealing with. So when you complain and got all this misery, it's like, damn, now I'm thinking about the stuff that I got going on. Like now you're triggering my trauma or whatever, like
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yo, life is amazing. Like there's always an opportunity. We're
Hmm.
here. And that's just my personal, if people feel that they find some comfort in drowning in their sorrows and misery, then that's on them. But that's not the energy that I'm looking for.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, to be honest, there's always, I mean, me, man. Like, how many conversations we had, even
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about something, and we're solution oriented. So we could talk about the trauma or the drama for like 10-15 minutes,
Right.
and then our conversations even is like, all right, so what are we gonna do about this?
What's the play?
Yeah, like what's the move here? And I remember you snapped me out of it a couple of times. I'm like, oh man, it's a terrible day at work, bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You're like, all right, so how are we gonna fix this?
What's the play? What's the
Yeah,
workout looking like?
what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And it just I think it just depends on the perspective you want to have in life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You can either, because this is a choice. It really is. You can choose to sit here and actively not look for solutions, or you can choose to just sit here and to drown your sorrows, right? And not also, I will say again, not to dismiss people's sorrows or traumas, right? But I think me and you were also big on the fact of, like, we kind of grew up on the 24-hour rule, right? You coming off a win, that's great. Celebrate, 24s, and then you go back to it, right? You have a loss, or you're having some real bad day, 24 hours, and you get back to it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Address it head on and then keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that's address it head on and then keep it moving. For me, that's just for me. To each their own. But yo, let's find something like I want to like there's too many things that we need to be focusing on for me to be given energy to all of these problems that I already know are there. I understand what I need to do to overcome them. Now I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, in true hustler spirit, right? Like, let's
Mhm.
get this money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are we sitting here talking about who said what to who? Let's get some money.
Mhm. Yeah. And it drains your confidence when you just focus on the negative. Like when you just like it does something in you like that. When people say like, yo, he's a dog, like mentally, let's be dogs. To the fact where it's like, yo, something happens to us. A word, I bet you just brush that off, stoic.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
you keep it pushing. Like that's training your brain
yeah,
muscles. That's training all the things necessary to be successful. Like yes, you're gonna have hardships. Yes, you're gonna have challenges. Yes, you're gonna have losses if you're challenging and pushing yourself. Deal with it, accept it, be happy
that's
about
true.
it, smile through that shit.
That's
Excuse my
very
language.
Nah, I mean, it's one of those. I feel like it's easy to say and harder to do for some people, right? I think a lot of people like or want to do that type of mentality or have that type of mentality, but a lot of people just aren't doers at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I mean, and I
Yeah.
hate to target an audience or single out certain people, but if the shoe fits sometimes, um, you got to be able to just say, hey, like, if this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And
I
I think
agree.
it falls back to, I forgot who was I was watching a podcast, and it was one of these guys that were talking about stoicism and different mentalities like that, but just falling back on the ideology of you have to trust yourself and keep your word to yourself. And if you do that, you'll be able to keep your own happiness, and you'll be able to, it's not about being lucky, you'll make your own luck, because if you're doing the right things and being positive day in and day out, you'll create your own luck after a while.
Mhm. I agree. It's just energy. You're gonna attract the right energy.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Law number 11.
It's funny because I didn't think we were gonna go through them like in order, but we're
Yeah,
literally they're flowing in order. So I'll
yeah,
give it to him.
yeah.
Robert Greene knew what he
This is an
was
interesting
doing.
one. He definitely did. He put it together very well. This is an interesting one. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Law number 11. This is where I say it could get a little toxic.
I'm thinking, man, we started 2025 off on a good note. We've had 2 laws
Hmm.
that were you could say wholesome. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You could argue they were good mannered and good intentioned,
Agreed.
but you're right, man. Back to the toxicity, the
It's,
toxicness.
yeah. And, and and see, what's funny is I'm going to connect it to the last one
Uh-oh.
real quickly, because even what we talked about, like I always I think this month is mental health month. All right, so let's talk
Is it
about it.
mental health month?
I think there's something with men's and mental health this month. I really do. If I'm wrong, then my mistake. But every month should be right. We should always focus on mental health. But even like I've always noticed the difference for me, like just talking about me, where I, I look at mental health for a certain group of people, which is maybe
Mhm,
fixating on your problems. For me, it's I need to have a purpose. I need to be
mhm.
working towards something, a goal that I'm working
For
hard
sure.
for. To me, that is the most healthy thing for my mental health.
Yeah.
So, from that aspect, when I hear learn to keep people dependent on you,
Mhm.
it could just be in a role, like just like
Mm.
sports. My job is to cover that wide receiver. That's my job.
Right.
So the better I
Mhm,
do that, then my team, they're not only dependent on me because I can cover a receiver better than everybody else, or I'm just needed as a part of the system. Like
mhm.
and on any team, you need every piece to play
Right.
a particular role. So I think dependency, like you could look at this from a positive way, where
Yeah.
it's like when you're keeping people dependent on you, that means that you're bringing real value to a situation. Now,
True.
on the flip side, it could be, seen in a negative way where it's like, I may never ever want to teach you certain things because once I teach you those things, you may not need me anymore. So therefore, I'm gonna teach you a little bit, but I ain't
Not
gonna
enough.
to
Yeah, not
replace
enough.
me. You feel me?
Nope.
But I guess you could look at it a few different ways.
I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it, brother, because I've seen it so much in corporate America, unfortunately. There's a lot of that. Even with job security for, new technologies or even politics. I feel like this leans so heavy into politics where you give people enough that they are informed about something or they think they know about something, but they don't know the whole thing. And they have to come
Mm.
back to you to get the rest of the pie. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think I'm probably even guilty of it too at a couple, at my last job or the job before that. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, like, oh yeah, do you know how to work this? I won't say no technologies and companies, but
Hmm.
do you know how to work this? And I'm telling them just enough, yeah, just enough to get their appetite going. But hey, if you want more, you got to come back here. You got to come back to me, man. And it's worked because I've stayed there as long, at each respective organization. I've stayed there as long as I wanted to. And
Hmm.
these are strategies that work, but they're just so toxic.
Yeah.
So
And,
toxic.
and for those of that get to that step, it's like, okay, if you teach them, then the real challenge is, or I guess we have to continue learning, because
Yeah.
I'd rather not live in that scarce mindset that, like you said,
Mhm.
we've all been there. We've all
Yeah.
been there. I'd rather not live in scarcity where it's like I don't want to teach this person something because once they know what I know, then I won't be needed. They can pay that person cheaper. They could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to look
Yeah.
at it from a mindset where it's like, yo, everything I teach you is challenging me to learn something new, because
100%.
everything I teach you, I know that it could be lessening the perspective of my value. But
Yeah.
also, I'm looking at it from a standpoint where it's like now it's challenging me to learn something new. And that's just
Mhm.
another skill set that I'll bring to the table, which is teaching, by being able to grow the people around me. So I get it from a power standpoint,
Yeah.
by prioritizing that. And it's one of those things where, perspective, I guess, could tell a lot of the story depending on how you look
I
at it.
think I think that if you shift the paradigm here a little bit, the perspective takes a whole new vantage point. You know what I mean? Because now I'm gonna ask, dang, okay, 2025, we're gonna get the whole crew on here, man. That's what we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get everybody on back on the book club, but
Mm-hmm.
I know people's schedules a little crazy because we need some contrasting views because in a relationship, you know what
Ooh.
I mean? Like People,
Oh yeah,
people like to be dependent and like to keep their other on themselves. Like, I'm not, talk about it, D. Talk about it. You step back, talk about
yeah.
it.
In a relationship, yo, that's just a fact. I think that naturally, when you need something, you value it
Hmm.
more.
Yeah.
So it's almost, that's why it's on us to constantly developing ourselves, whether it's in a role at work or if it's in a role in a relationship. That's how I look at it. I can't do the same
Mhm.
thing. If I make the same amount and I'm doing the same thing, it's different if I make the same amount, but I'm
Mhm.
trying other things, just from a money
Yeah.
standpoint, from a provisional standpoint. If my body looks the same and I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
constantly looking at myself where it's like, yo, if I'm not challenging myself to become greater,
Mhm.
then that's just going to be a little bit less attractive, I would think, from my lady looking at it. You know what I mean? So
True.
I need to make sure that I'm needed where it's a competitive environment. It is what it is. Like, I need to make sure that when you're waking up and you're looking at me and you're interacting with me, that you understand that there's a certain appreciation based on, well, this ain't like any other dude. Who wants to be like any other dude? I don't. I
True.
want to stand out. Like, you don't work hard to just be average or be the same as everybody else. And even if you are, just challenge yourself to be better. You know what I mean? So for me, I think there needs to be a dependency. If somebody runs in the house and you and I are on the same uh, physicality to the point where it's like, oh, should you go check or should I go check? Nah, I need
Mm.
you to need me in these type of situations.
Yeah, for
It could
sure.
be from a comforting standpoint. Like, come here, you
Uh-huh.
had a tough day. I need you to. I feel like relationships just work better
Mhm.
based on need.
And
Now,
dependency.
obviously, that can go
Dependency.
overboard. That can go overboard, but
For
that's
sure.
a real life contract. Like, yo, what do you need from me? Like, that's what I
So,
think people should ask in relationships. What do you need from me? Now I need to make sure that I'm continuing to do those things
mhm.
to serve this relationship.
So now I'm gonna flip it a little bit. Would you
Mhm.
now, since you gave another opinion, wouldn't you say those are in direct conflict,
As
being
far as
the corporate side and the ethical side versus the relationship and home side, where, like you were just saying, in a team environment setting, you want the independent thinking, you want critical analysis. Hey, I'm going to give you the tools to enable yourself. I hope you're still dependent on me. I'm not going to force you to be. But then on the flip side, in an intimate setting and relationship, you don't want that person to be overly independent. You want that dependence, if you will.
Oh, I want the dependence in both areas. But the difference is, and it's, I guess it's not even a difference, the same way in both. Just like on the job, I want to be able to teach my understudy, my
Mhm.
mentee, everything that I know, because I'm confident enough to know that while you're learning that, I'm
Mhm.
learning it even more. And
Yeah.
I'm also learning other things as I go on through my
Mhm.
experience. So I'm never thinking like this is just it for me. If I stop
Mhm.
learning, then I would think of it from a scarcity mindset and I
Okay.
would be a little nervous. Just like in a relationship, if I'm doing the same thing, if I'm unmotivated to do better, if I'm not inspired to want more, I would think that any woman would be a little less attracted.
Well,
Like
yeah.
I'll give you an example. I asked Maya the other day. I'm like, yo, what's it like when you're dating a dude that may be one of the best players on a team? Or, I was talking to her and she was
Uh-huh.
telling me about one of her friends that
Mhm, mhm.
like was dating like some, yeah, you know what I mean? And I'm just asking, like, yo, what does that feel like? And she was like, yo, that feels good. That's exciting. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? I look
mhm,
at my parents, even with the parent, that's exciting being able to go to the game and root for
mhm.
your kid. So how do I keep that excitement going? You know what I'm saying? Just like I
Yeah.
want you to continue working on the things that are important to me that you bring to the
Mhm,
table. I want you to
mhm.
not fall off. Keep working out. Matter of fact, do even better. Make your body look even. I want all those things, so I got to challenge myself the same.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's how I would look at it. But I ain't got all the answers, Sway. I'm just talking shit. Hey, yo. And that goes right into the next one. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Oh, man.
The toxicity gonna come out one way or not
Oh, it's
another. You feel me?
oh, I mean, this one, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've used one a couple times.
Of course. Of
I mean,
course, people go, yeah.
again, we're gonna, no face, no case. We're not gonna say names, in situations. But
Talk to me.
man, if I done told you guys the amount of selective honesty I use in arguments with my exes and the people I be dating, oh my goodness, you're like, oh, did you go out? I mean, yeah, I went out. Now what? Like, I just, you ain't asking the whole question, so I'm gonna give you the selective honesty. Yeah, like, oh, you was out doing this and this and that and that. I might have been in the area. Like, I ain't saying much more than that, but you know what I mean? Like, I
Wait,
mean, there's
I
a
was in
couple.
Jersey. What you mean?
Oh, you was uptown, you was in Dykeman, you was doing this. I mean, I was in New York for work. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might have had to hit you with that.
I mean, yeah, looking at it from the book standpoint, like even the example that they gave with it was with Al Capone, and that was actually pretty slick what the dude did, where it's like to
Talk
gain
about it. Talk about
trust.
it.
You know what I
I'll
mean?
get it
It was so Al Capone, they said, was one of the most feared gangsters at the time, and this like kind of slick talking, kind of finesser, salesperson, scam, like now we probably call him a scammer. You know what I mean? He came to Al Capone and was like, "Hey, I could double your money. Like if you give me $50,000, I'll double your money." So the dude, he just put the money. He's like, "Yo," he gave him the money. He just put it in the safe deposit box, and then came back weeks later and was like, "Hey, the situation didn't pan out. He didn't do anything with it. Like didn't try to do anything with it. His intentions were to just keep it there." So this is what he did when he went back to Al Capone. He said, "Look, it messed up. The deal didn't work. Things just went left. We didn't make the money that we thought. However, here's all of the money that you invested. I wanted you to have it," like type of energy. So Al Capone's looking at it like, damn, the deal went left. And like, you were honest enough to still bring me back my money. And that's how they became locked in. Because Al Capone was looking at it from a distrust standpoint. He's expecting to get nothing back, or expecting the dude to lie, or expecting, he just came back upfront enough, direct enough to say, "Hey, I apologize. It didn't work out. And I'm going to make you whole with the money." So next thing Al Capone did, he appreciated dude for honesty. He still hit him off with like 500. Like, I know you're on hard times now, So it's like, you can't deny it. You know what I mean? I guess you can use that tactic in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think it's just the matter in which you want to use it in. I think one of the ways I've seen it in mainstream a lot recently is news media, and the politicians utilizing news media, right? Using the selective honesty that, without getting to conspiracy theories and this and that, whatever people, whatever everybody's beliefs are, right? The selective honesty to disarm your victim, right? There was a lot going on last year, a lot going on last 4 years. Let's just broad stroke it, right?
Agreed.
A lot going on, and then a lot going on the prior past couple of years, even to that, when President Trump was originally in office. The selective honesty. Yeah, okay, there's a lot going on. Hey, we just declassified some documents. Aliens are real, guys. I mean, all right, I guess that's the truth, because it's military intelligence, it's classified documentation, like it's selective honesty. You're finally coming true, because we do want to know. We were waiting. And now you've generously given us this information, and now we're disarmed about, oh, okay, now you remember when that happened. Everybody's talking about aliens for the past how long? And we skewed from the topic. And again, I bring that example up because the drones over Jersey, when they first started happening, everybody thought they were aliens. Everybody thought they were drones. And then they finally came out. Yeah, these are drones. They're not aliens, but we can't say much more than that. And then what happened? It disarmed the victims, right? Us, the people of Jersey. We just, oh, okay, yeah, they're drones. All right, they're not aliens. Oh, okay, all right, sounds good. Nobody's still talking about drones in Jersey.
Dang, it's all right. I'm gonna go there, but I'm not gonna go there.
I do it.
Look at religion.
Oh,
When you
oh,
look at religion,
oh.
is it selective? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like you just never really
Mm.
know. But it's like, that's why I said I'm not going to go all the way over there. But
It's an
from the standpoint
interesting
that you're
one.
talking
Yeah.
about, it's like, do we know everything? And from the government example that you used,
Mhm, mhm.
it's funny. I've been having this conversation with my dad and my mom, where it's like, do you want, like, I can understand how a government may not tell the
Mhm.
citizens at everything. Even when you look at what happened in 2020, I feel like the fear causes so
Yeah.
much, like, more deaths
Mhm.
than, if people just said, hey, it's a flu, it will get over,
Right.
you know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
people are like, nah, what is it? I also want to know what it is. So
Yeah.
it's almost like, it almost depends on the track record of the person, where it's like, if you trust somebody, like, let's say your parents are going to be selectively honest with you about some things
Mhm.
because they want to protect you, and
Mhm.
maybe not give you everything at once, or may not think that you're ready to understand certain things, so they'll be selective with that. I know that they have my best interest at heart. Well, they should have my best interest at heart. So we look at it a little bit differently. Now, as soon as you lose trust and respect
Mm.
maybe in
Mhm.
somebody, that's when it changes. That's when it's like,
Yeah.
bro, that's out the window. I need all the information. I can't trust you to make the decision for us no more.
For sure.
Bring it over here. I was happy to let you make the decisions, have my peace of mind, but now
Mhm.
you're bugging, and now I need to know the information, all of it. You know what I mean? So
So
it's,
I guess the honesty comes with the trust. I guess
yeah,
you could say that, like,
yeah. The
honesty,
more you
selective
trust them,
honesty.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like the more you trust somebody, I'm a little bit more lenient on you. This is gonna sound crazy. Am I? Like, the more you trust somebody from a powerful position, or
Mhm.
understanding they're in a leadership position, I would be more okay with
Mhm.
you maybe not telling the whole truth.
Mhm.
But in all actuality, it's like, people want everybody to be held to the same standard. So it's like, just be out there, just be genuine, just be who
I
you
think
say
it
you
yeah,
are.
I think it's more regardless of social status or financial status, I think it's more the selective honesty works when there is unconditional trust. If there
Right.
are set conditional parameters on the trust in this specific or a given relationship,
Hmm.
the selective honesty ain't gonna work. Because like you said, it
Yeah.
deteriorates, it falls apart. It's, hey man, like I don't trust you to tell, I don't trust nothing you saying. Why
Yeah.
this selective honesty is not working with me. I don't trust you to begin with. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
There's some family members where I'm like, yo, I know you got a big mouth. And I know some family members have told me, yo, don't tell me nothing. Cause if you tell me, you know what I mean? But you got to, it's
Yeah.
like, so I guess it's all relative, but I would say that it's based on, like, what is the relationship from the beginning? What is the foundation of this
Yeah.
relationship?
Yeah.
So that's where I would leave it.
Yeah. I think it's where's the foundation and what's the basis of the generosity
Hmm.
for disarming your victim? I think that's where it kind of all stems from. I think that's what
Yeah.
you're getting at.
Yeah. Yeah. And the generosity. Yeah. I like that. All right.
All right, well,
Ah,
that was pretty quick. You got
yeah,
some
we
last
got through
words? You got some last words?
some last words, man. All of these laws. My recommendation would be to just look at them from through a lens that you understand what your principles, morals, and values are, and you're always seeing it through a lens of integrity. Because even though you may read them and say, like, I don't like that one, figure out, maybe looking at it from a different perspective of how you can turn it into a positive if you feel like it's a negative. Because even though you and I are both saying some of these things are like toxic, negative, we're not saying that they don't work. We're not saying that it's not
That's
true.
fact.
So if you can
That's
use
fact.
it to bring some good, spread some positive energy, and look at it from that perspective, then I think that's the goal. That's all
Fair
I got
enough.
for you.
Fair enough. I will say this is I think I was more wholesome this time. The next law is 13, 14, 15, 16. Fellas, tune in because I'm gonna tell you how to use them on your ex, your girl, your sneaky link, whatever. Like I'm giving all the game next week, bro. That's
13's the one for you. 13 is when asking for help appeal to people's self-interest, interest, never to
I'm
their
giving
mercy or
free game. I might have to
gratitude.
do a workshop, bro. appealing
Oh,
to interest,
shoot.
and I'm giving free game. Take notes.
Bro, I love it. Y'all tap in, man. Appreciate y'all. Mayor, you take us out.
All right, let's do it. Next week, same time, same place. See you then. Ew, ew.
Ew, ew.